Okay, good afternoon, everyone who's here with me. We'll get started more so around 12:05 to allow for everyone to join us. My name is Jerica Lighting. I'm the Deputy Project Manager for the Town of Carrboro Disparity Study. Thank you for being here with me this afternoon. And once again, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jerica Lighting. I'm the Deputy Project Manager for the Town of Carrboro Disparity Study. We will begin our informational meeting around 12:05 to allow for all of our participants and those who've registered to have a chance to join us, and then we will start. So thank you all for being here with me this afternoon. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And yes, participants, the meeting is being recorded and it'll be hosted on our website for the as well. No problem.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm in the meeting, right?
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon.
Good
Morning.
afternoon. We'll be starting in just one more minute at 12:05, just allowing for all participants to have a chance to join before we begin our presentation. All right, and with the time being 12:05, I will begin. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jerica Lighting. I'm the Deputy Project Manager for the Town of Carboro's Disparity Study. I'm also joined by David Maher, our legal expert and our legal partner and our chapter writer for our legal chapter for the Disparity Study. And I'm also joined by Michelle Clark Jenkins, our Senior Director of Consulting for Griffin and Strong. I want to thank you all for being here with us today. We have a presentation on information about a disparity study, what a disparity study is, and then we will open up the floor for questions. At any time during the presentation, if you have any questions, you may leave those within the chat and we'll start with our Q&A session with those and then open it up to the floor. I do want to let everyone know on this call as of right now that this meeting is being recorded and it will be hosted on our website for the disparity study, which you can find more information about the study team, the information that we have, and the events that we have going on for the community during our time here in the town. So with that, let me get prepared and get us started. This is always in the way. once again, this is our informational meeting for our disparity study for the town of Carrboro. A quick agenda to go over who Griffin and Strong PC is, our team introductions, the objectives, the methodology, our findings and recommendations, give you a timeline of our progress throughout the study, and then once again, we'll open up the floor for questions. So about Griffin and Strong. Griffin and Strong is a law and public policy firm which specializes in procurement research, training, supplier diversity consulting, contract compliance, and program development. We are the most qualified team in the industry with 6 Juris Doctors, 2 PhDs in economy, and a PhD in anthropology. We champion ourselves with knowing that none of our studies that have been conducted by Griffin and Strong have been challenged or overturned in court, although some members of our team have represented other disparity studies in court. So we're happy that they do have that experience. And then the objective and the purpose of a disparity study. So a disparity study is an objective research tool that is used to determine if disparities in a governmental's procurement agencies and then the activities exist within certain race, ethnic, or gender groups across the industry categories that we're looking at. It further can determine if those disparities are statistically significant, if they are likely caused by the race or gender status of the firm owners. Disparity studies also utilize anecdotal evidence while examining current policies and practices and a law review as well. The findings of our study will represent recommendations by our study team, and if they are accepted by a client, we hope that they are to be implemented as policy going forward. The purpose of our disparity studies come from 2 of legal cases. One is the City of Richmond versus J.A. Crozen. And then following that decision, it was also being implemented into any federal contracts as well by Adirondack Constructors, Inc. versus Pena. These come out with 2 prongs, which is that strict scrutiny must be applied for any race-based programs and intermediate scrutiny for any gender-based programs. There must be a factual basis in evidence, and methodology must be dictated by the case law, which once again are those 2 studies that are before us. It also must be narrowly tailored with the remedies to avoid over or under inclusion, because in the eyes of the court, over inclusion is the same as under inclusion and is treated the same. We'll go into our methodology and our technical approach. So these 10 steps that you see here, some happen in tandem with each other and they'll coincide with each other, but these are all of the things that we do within our disparity study. We'll have our legal review, we'll have a policy review, we'll collect and analyze and clean any data that we receive from the town. We do a relevant market analysis, a utilization analysis, an availability analysis, a disparity analysis. We've also analyzed the private sector. We collect and we analyze anecdotal evidence. And then finally, we give our full report and our findings and our recommendations. And all of these points I'll go into depth just in a moment. So with our policy review, this will analyze through a review of the town's policies of their purchasing along with our staff interviews. What we're really looking to see is our policies as they're written present a barrier to our MWBE firms. Are these policies understood by the staff? What policies can be modified to promote inclusion? And is there a discrepancy in what is written on policy and then how it is implemented on a day-to-day within the procurement process? We collect our data. So we determine any and all data sources that we need from the town to collect and analyze their procurement process. We collect all available electronic data and provide the manpower to enter in any manual data. So if we have any hard copies of any data, we do the work for that as well. We'll clean the data and fill in any data gaps that we may find within what we are looking at. We maintain a chain of evidence and we ensure to keep the town informed throughout this process of any discrepancies that we have, any questions that we may have to ensure that our analysis is as accurate as it can be. And we provide transparency during all of this process for the town. We conduct a relevant market analysis, which goes by geography. We analyze the location when we start within the town, and we radiate out to at least 75% of all awarded dollars within the major procurement categories are hit. So we start within the town and we radiate out to see where are all of the money within the procurement process being spent, and then that will be determined as our relevant market. We also disaggregate that by each of our industry categories as well, which will be included in the study, and only this relevant market will be included within our analysis for the study. From our relevant market, we go into a utilization analysis. We look at the data for prime contractors and subcontractors, and we disaggregate that by year, by work category, and then by the race, gender, and ethnic status. So we can have a clear picture of where the town is spending their money and who has been utilized within the procurement process. From there, we conduct a threshold analysis. We look at the level of contracting by their award interval to determine if contract size is an issue or if there's any opportunities for small businesses, MWBE businesses to have more of an opportunity there. So are only large contracts going to certain people? Are only small contracts going to certain people? We look within our threshold analysis to see and to determine that information. And then we use our availability analysis. So GSPC will use a list-based approach using the bidders, the vendors, the awardees, the payees from the town, as well as certified MWBE firms and third-party government lists to determine whom is ready, willing, and able within that relevant market. So who can do the work that we're looking for within the procurement process. A disparity analysis is then performed by taking the availability and the utilization and comparing them to each other to determine a disparity index for each race, gender, and ethnic group. And then from there, we also disaggregate it by our procurement industries as well. So we take who has been used by the town in their procurement process versus who is available to be used by the town in their procurement process. And that creates for us our disparity index. From that index, we then determine the statistical significance of it with a standard deviation, which will help us determine and modify our recommendations for the town if needed. If there is a disparity, but it is a small disparity, we may not have that factual evidence that we need to give race-based and gender-based approaches. But if that disparity is large, there may be factual basis then for those types of remedies. A regression analysis is performed to determine if disparities can also be explained by factors other than the race, ethnicity, or gender of our firm owners, which such as their education status, how long they've been in business, or age. We look to see if those are also some of the factors that may lead to this disparity as well. Our private sector analysis primarily uses that regression analysis to determine whether the race, ethnic status, or gender status has affected who's being used by these members of the groups for both the public sector and the private sector. Along with our regression analysis, we look at self-employment, credit markets, and building permit data to help us really get a good picture of what is happening within the private sector as well as the public sector. And then we also have our community engagement and our anecdotal evidence, which this meeting is a part of. So I thank you all for being here with us. We start with our informational meeting to give you information about the disparity study, what to look forward to, how you can be involved with us during this process. We have anecdotal interviews whereby our race and ethnic gender statuses, we randomly select firms to give us interviews so that way we can see what their issues are, what their experiences of doing business with the town may or may not be, and that will further help us guide us with our remedies that we provide to the town. We have a survey of business owners, which we cast out to all firm owners within that relevant market to ask more detailed questions about their experience doing work within the town and doing work just in general. We have public hearings that will come up soon, where we listen to the testimonies, the experiences, and your perceptions of doing business with the town of Carrboro. That will once again help us with our recommendations to the town and give you the full opportunity to let us know what has been occurring for you and if any of these things are themed as well. We have our focus groups, which are sort of like anecdotal interviews, but they're more targeted and randomized groups where we meet with firm owners to see if within what we've heard from the anecdotal interviews, from our business owner survey, from the public hearings, are these themes that may have been occurring throughout many firm owners within the study process. We want to engage deeply with our business, civic, and trade organizations. So we have meetings with them as well and encourage them and their membership to join us within these meetings and within our time during the disparity study. We want to ensure that we are embedded within the town and within the community as well to ensure that we have a great understanding of what is occurring during this time. And always, we have our email and our social media comments as well. As most of these meetings are public facing and they are recorded, you may not feel comfortable speaking and expressing your experience during these meetings, but I'm always available and the team is always available by email to have your experiences be told, for you to tell us what's going on, and for you to provide your comments there for us as well. And then we have our findings and our recommendations. So our findings are key summarization points for each chapter. So for our legal chapter, our policy chapter, our quantitative evidence, our private sector, our anecdotal evidence, we summarize the points from all of those chapters within our findings and review the efficacy of race and gender neutral remedies if they are supported by the study. We then provide recommendations to the town as well, which are detailed reviews of the policy, the anecdotal, and our institutional knowledge from our experts who are on our team. These recommendations are unique to the study and unique to the town and come from the information that we found during the study, not just within our statistics, but once again, what we hear from the public and the business community as well. We then give our best practices and our innovative approaches for race and gender neutral or race and gender conscious remedies. And then we have a project timeline for you so you can see a visualization of what our time during the disparity study looks like. So in fall of 2023, we have our work plan and our schedule with the town. We've had a data assessment meeting and a kickoff meeting for our team within the town. And we have started collecting our quantitative data, which will then continue throughout the study. But right now, we're here within our fall winter transition where we're having our informational meeting. We're having our quantitative and data collection plan being begun. Anecdotal interviews will soon begin. So if you do get reached out and get contacted by anyone on our team for those, we would greatly appreciate you accepting and giving us your information, which is valuable to our team. Our case law review begins along with policy interviews, and that review will begin. And we have launched our disparity study website where you can find information on the study team members, and what to expect coming up. In winter of 2023, our anecdotal interviews will continue, along with other collecting of our anecdotal evidence. Once again, those focus groups, the survey being launched as well. We'll also be launching our survey soon after. In spring of 2024, we'll have our data analysis and preparation being completed, also giving a draft report of everything to the town. And then in summer, we'll have our final draft report and our executive summary and any presentations that the town would love us to give them, we'll give at that time. And so once again, how you can be involved with us during this time, this year or so that we're within the town, we want you to be vocal and to completely and candidly express your experience doing work with the town or your reasons of why you're not doing work in the town. Any and all information helps us tailor those remedies that we give to the town at the end of the study. When the survey of business owners gets casted out, we hope that you will complete that and turn that information to us. And if you're contacted for an interview or a focus group, we'll hope that you will join those and once again be candid and open with whomever is conducting those. And attend our public hearings, which are once again will be virtual, but we'll be listening to your testimonies, listening to your experiences during those times and those two meetings. And as always, you can always leave us comments on our disparity study email, which is Carrboro disparity study at gspclaw.com. If you don't feel comfortable giving information within those public meetings or in those public facing types of meetings that we have, that email is always available. You can give your candidate response and your experiences as well. And you can connect with us as well. We are on Facebook as well as our website, which is gspclaw.com. The study email, once again, is Carrboro disparity study at gspclaw.com. And if you need any other information about upcoming events, or once again, the study team, you can go to carrboro.disparitystudy.com. And that is the end of my presentation. I do want to thank you, and I will stop sharing. And we will open up the floor for any questions or concerns. Once again, I am joined by David Maher, our legal expert. He will be here to answer any questions that you may have. And I don't see any. Oh, I got one just then. Thank you. Okay, participant Shannon asked, does this study just evaluate the procurement and purchasing process, or does it also include the acquisition of professional services like engineering services?
Yes, it does include professional services. That is one of the industry categories that we're going to be studying as requested by the town. So it will be goods and services, professional services, and construction.
Thank you for your question. I don't have any others within the chat, but if you would like to come off mute and ask your question, you feel free, more than likely to do so. Let me exit out my participants so I can have a full view of our chat. Okay. And once again, this is your time to ask any questions that you may have, any concerns that you would like to bring up. We'll be able to answer those for you as well during this time.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Um, I know I received the email about the township of Carrboro, but I actually reside in Raleigh, Wake County. I mean, I don't know if my opinion would matter in this case. Would it?
The answer is quite possibly. We don't yet know what the geographic area of the market area is. And so if the market area expands as far as Raleigh, then your participation would definitely be welcomed as well. But we just don't know what that study area is going to be yet.
Okay. All right.
But
well,
I will say that.
like.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say,
No,
to the extent that you've got any experience with the town of Carrboro purchasing, certainly that's something that we would welcome. Again, an email or go on our website and participate in that. So if any experiences that you've had with the town of Carrboro would be a part of the study, and your firm, to the extent you're in the geographic area of the study, would be a part of it. So your information would be needed as a participant in the study if you are in the geographic area.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And once again, you don't have to type them within the chat. You can just come off mute for us and ask your question or your concerns or comments as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rishonda. I'm the owner of Affinity Home Care. We do service the entire state of North Carolina. We do have specific services in which we render in the county that Carrboro, at general geographic location. So just as the other individual mentioned, I did receive an invite. Wasn't really sure as to what the purpose of the invite. But considering that we are licensed for that geographic area, how would this work as it relates to our services, Affinity Home Care?
Sure. There's a couple of answers to your question. The first is, to the extent that you have bid on any work with the town of Carrboro, obviously, your information is going to be important. You would likely be on some of the lists, what we call the availability lists. And if you've actually had a contract with the town of Carrboro, you would be on the utilization data lists as well. To the extent that you've not done work with the town of Carrboro, again, any potential barriers to you participating in procurement or purchasing with the town would be helpful for us to know. So that's, when the surveys come out, or when we open up some of the focus groups, or just again an email blast to us, would help us understand if you want to do work with the town of Carrboro, but there's been some sort of barrier, whether it's financial, whether it's informational. Those are all things that we need to know about as part of the study. But specific to your business, if you have done either bids or actual work with the town, we would be seeing your data when we collect data from the town itself.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello. How you doing?
I am. Thank you.
One of the questions I like to direct to you guys. Historically, across the whole state of North Carolina, really, for all of the established and experienced engineering firms, that is not really represented when the selection committee don't look like those same firms that are trying to do business with the city town is not a part of that. So, do you have your SDB or your minority representative a part of the selection committee when it comes to the professional services for the town?
I'm not exactly sure the nature of your question. We are not affiliated with the town itself. So what we're doing is studying how the town would be conducting those kinds of requests for proposals and the evaluations. We will be looking at that from a policy side, but also during our interviews to see how they're doing that. That's not actually something our firm does for the town itself, though.
No, I know that. I know that you're running the survey itself, but I'm
Right.
saying, does the town itself have representation of STB or women-owned representatives on the evaluation committee for professional engineering services?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and that's something that we're going to be, that'll be part of our study, because again, we go through not only the policies and procedures, but also kind of the process, and we interview some of the staff that does implementation of the policies and procedures. And so that would be one of the things that we likely would address in our policy chapter if we find out that there is a lack of representation on the selection committees that may be serving as a barrier to participation by small firms, female-owned firms, or minority-owned firms. That is something we would certainly note and perhaps make recommendations depending on what we have found.
That is highly needed, because after two expensive bids and responses to the town, generally the experienced engineering firms don't see putting money in that worth the value of putting money into something that they're not going to really get a shot at.
Yeah, and that's not unique to the town of Carrboro. Again, to the extent that we find that in our study, that's actually something that we oftentimes find in our studies of various governmental agencies. But Mr. Mason, I would really invite you to again participate in the anecdotal portions of our study so that we can have that information, because we need to know what the business environment and the public feels about the way procurement is being done at the town. So you have valuable information for our study, and we just ask that you would share it with us.
Right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
And while you're asking your questions, I'll be placing within the chat my email as well as the study email. So at any time, if you have information that you would like to share about your procurement process or your experience, you'll be able to share those with us as well, not just within this meeting. And we are scheduled here to 1 o'clock, so you can feel free to ask any and all questions. Your time is not up with myself and with David and Michelle. We're here to answer any questions or concerns you may have.
All right, so I do have another question. How do you guys choose the townships in which you decide to do these studies in, or is it kind of up to someone else to make those decisions?
That's an excellent question. It's actually the town itself that initiates the study. So in this situation, the town has decided that they wanted to conduct a disparity study, and they sent out what they call a request for proposal. And they interviewed the various firms that responded to the request for proposal and then chose our firm to do the study. So the actual decision to do a study is the town's, and then throughout the process, they make their selection as to who they wanted to do the study.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is interesting to know. All right.
Yeah, and that's how it works nationwide as well. Both, we have cities, counties, and states that want to do disparity studies, and they put out those requests for proposals, and those of us in the industry make the response.
Okay. I mean, is there usually a reason, why that prompts, such a thing? Like, why would a township want to say, we want to do this type of study?
Sure. There are a number of reasons. I mean, sometimes it comes from their business community, or their public hearings and some of the legislative meetings that they'll have. They'll get the indication that they may have some lack of competition or lack of participation by certain firms, either by gender or ethnicity or race. And so sometimes that kind of bubbles up from the public or from the business community, and that makes a town or a county want to find out how they are doing their process. Also, sometimes they'll see another governmental entity has done one, and they think that may actually be beneficial to us to understand where we're spending our money, how the tax money is being utilized, and what the competition level is in their either town or county or state. So again, sometimes it's discussions in the business community of unfairness or perceived unfairness or a lack of opportunity. But sometimes it's just that the governmental entity wants to better understand how well its policies and procedures are working to achieve as good a competition in their marketplace as they can have. Because again, these are tax dollars, and so these governments are very attuned to how tax dollars are being spent and what opportunities and competition is available in their marketplace.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is first time I'm hearing about a study like this. So it's, all brand new information to me, but I can see that the need is definitely there, especially, myself being a small business. It always seems like we seem to get the short end of the stick. So it's good to know that there's, townships out there taking the initiative and trying to see how they can close the gap.
Exactly.
All right, answer what? Let me get out of here.
And once again, please feel free at any time. You can take yourself off mute and you can ask your questions or your concerns. David, myself, and Michelle are here.
Dang, can I go that way?
Um, okay, I have a comment from participant Carol. Great information. Thank you. Will you be sending us a copy of this meeting? This meeting recording will be hosted on the Carrboro Disparity Study website. So at any time you would like to come back to review that information, you can check that link on the website, which will be shortly after this meeting concludes. You're welcome. And that website will also host our public hearings as well. And then you can find out the times when the survey goes live, as well as when we start doing our calls for anecdotal interviews and for focus groups. So you can always use that as somewhere, it's like a home base during our disparity study. I'll place that link in the chat as well. Right. And so I've also placed within the chat the study website for you as well. And there before that for me is the disparity study email that you can use to contact. I'm the one that checks that, so you'll always be talking to me. And so please feel free to reach me at any time during this process. All right, and at the time it's 12:40, so we have about 20 more minutes here with myself and David. Once again, any questions that you may have, any concerns, anything that you think that you would like for us to know even at this time, please feel free to share that information with us. We're down. Excuse me. So yeah, so any of our remaining participants, if you have any questions, anything that you would like to ask or even know about the study or the study process, please feel free because we have just a few more moments left with you all here. And with the time approaching 12:45, I will say if there's nothing else anyone has, I honor your time and I will give you about 15 minutes back. Once again, thank you so much for being here with us today with myself and David. If you have anything that you would like before we leave, I can stay always until 1 o'clock. But do let us know, and then I can dismiss us all. So once again, you could always reach us on the study website, on a study email, as we get prepared for some more of our community events and engagement. We thank you all for being here and for the questions that you did ask of David and I.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.